But yeah, it sounded good, so I think we're good. But yeah, I just think, and again, like going back to that, like it kind of, Chappell's actions have always spoken louder than her words. And that's the whole argument that's going on TikTok right now, is that there's all these influencer activists who are like just saying things for the clout, and then there's these people who have always stood up and acted and done things for the right things, and they're the people who are always like, use your critical thinking, because neither of these people are perfect. Neither of these people are great. Our country is messed up.
Yeah, I agree that it needs to be fucking torn down and
rebuilt.
Start the fuck over. The problem is that this clearly showcases that on the left there are such big like fractions and like breaks in what everyone on the quote unquote left believes, that like we couldn't organize a freaking, I don't know, revolution if we wanted to, because people, you know, like I was saying a little bit ago, like the freaking Hollywood liberals don't have the same beliefs as like people like Chappell Roan, and that's why she's being eaten alive. And then even your own friends, who we might all be left leaning, but like what they find important and what I find important is different. Like I remember when, you know, I don't know, just like, dude, the amount of people that only went to protests in 2020 just to post a picture that they were at a protest.
Yeah.
Or the amount of people that like their form of act, like the freaking black square activism. It just like, it doesn't mean anything.
And then also the fact that like you felt like you had to post a black square or else you were gonna be,
well, but that's like the thing. It's like, it's only the other people around you that made you feel like, well, if I don't post something, then then it makes it seem like I'm not a bad person. But then actual, like, you know, activists and stuff are like, no, you guys are clouding social media feeds with these black squares and pushing real information down. But it's like, we're all so sick and scared of each other.
Yeah.
And so when someone uses their critical thinking skills and goes, I know that this is the Democratic choice and I'm going to vote for the Democratic choice, I still can look at them objectively and not agree with their fucking policies. I remember in 2020 when Kamala was running, I didn't agree with some of the stuff that she was saying. She was in, you know, the attorney general of my state.
Yeah.
Prior, locking up innocent people.
Yeah.
Or locking up people for, you know, petty crimes that really could have just been like something you like, I don't know, like.
And how long has it taken her to come out and say that what's going on in Palestine is wrong?
But she's only doing that because of pressure.
And she's only doing it because we've pressured her. And
the only way that you can pressure somebody is if you're somebody as influential as Chappell Roan going, I don't want to endorse you because I don't fuck with what you stand for. Because you've been handing these fucking grenades for them to drop all over the Middle East.
And that's what these people who are standing with Chappell Roan are saying is, you clearly don't know anything about Chappell Roan, because she's the same person who didn't go perform because they were bombing Palestine. And she refused to go to these performances, and she did that performance as the Statue of Liberty, and she was going to go read Palestinian women's poems instead, and, you know, like...
Well, like, she sells merch at her booth that, like, the 100% of the proceeds go to Palestine. Like, she doesn't talk about it, she is about it. And I think I'm so sick. I don't know what has happened in the last like 5-6 years to where being about it doesn't mean shit if people didn't see you do it. So if you actively every day live your life and you're donating and you are protesting and you're, you know, doing the things you need to do, you're boycotting different places by not going to them, it doesn't count because you didn't document it. I don't fuck with that.
Yeah.
I don't need to document, hey, look at me driving past McDonald's. I'm not buying shit at McDonald's, so you know that I don't fuck with, you know, whatever. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Because you could also be online and be posting all of this like leftist rhetoric, or maybe, you know, saying and doing things, and you're still going to go to the polls and still vote Republican. I don't
Yeah.
believe that shit. It's like, you don't need an endorsement from people if you actively pay attention to them. Of course she's going to vote for Kamala. Of course she's not voting for Trump. And I understand how some Democrats feel, where it's like, this is such a dangerous time that you can't just sit there and say, I'm not going to vote, you know, for Kamala because I don't believe in her, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, yes, in certain states, if you don't vote blue, red's going to win. And like, that's really important. And so I understand the thought process of like, no, it's really dangerous and blah, 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 blah. But you can vote for somebody and not have to actively, like, we don't need to
endorse
be
them and
right.
and say that there's this dangerous precedent that like you can't hold the other, like you can't hold Kamala accountable because then people just won't vote for her. And I'm sorry, but like it's her vote either way.
Also that.
And she's obviously doing the actions of doing right by the things that need to be done right by.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't need to endorse anyone.
I feel like election season is always such a fucking frustrating time, because it's like all these people that are dormant for the 4 years. Like, what the fuck did you think your politicians were doing these last 4 years? Is paying attention to politics only important in an election year? Because they're doing shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like Nancy Pelosi, who is on the Democratic side, her and her husband just magically happened to trade a bunch of stock before this one thing just dropped recently. So insider trading is also illegal. Like, you should be paying attention to what these politicians are doing at all times if you're going to act like this. But if you don't give a fuck, you know, 365 for 3 years and you wake up in an election year, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Honestly, because oh my God, that's just the thing that freaking pisses me off. Chappell Roan has just been about it. She's doing the work.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to sit there and be like, hey guys, look at me driving by a Starbucks and I'm not buying any.
And I'm not saying anything about Taylor Swift, but like everybody's like, oh, look, Taylor Swift endorsed him. And again, like I said at the beginning of all of this, you know, great. Taylor Swift endorsed him. People telling her to shut up. Like, no, you need to go away. Like, she's allowed to say what she wants to say. She's allowed to do what she wants to do. Like, fuck off. However, that doesn't mean that every other person has to do that either. Also, Taylor Swift hasn't been about it like Chappell Roan has.
Also that too. I understand that Taylor Swift has a level of influence that 99% of people on planet Earth do not have. And I would rather somebody who is very informed and knowledgeable speak up.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want lukewarm takes. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's just the thing. And I think that, like, you know, at the end of the day, I don't fuck with billionaires. And I don't care what billionaire opinions are, because her life is so vastly different from the people at the bottom. Whatever happens in these elections does not affect her. It affects us, you know? So it's like, it's just, there's just so many feelings about it. And I think for the longest time, I wasn't planning on voting for Biden. I wasn't going to vote for Trump either, but I was just like, it was the first election where I was like, I cannot in good conscience cast a vote for someone who is actively funding a genocide. And I remember getting in an argument with one of my bandmates about it, because he thought I was being a butthead. He thought I was just like really like, just like thinking really densely about it. And I was like, I cannot look at the footage that's being posted on like Twitter, unedited. You can see everything. Or look at the daily updates from Basan and know that like they don't have water, they don't have food. Watching like little children's bodies being pulled from the rubble, or seeing them, you know, scattered about in different sections and pieces. I can't watch that footage and look at those people in charge and say, I'm going to cast a vote for you. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He's not running anymore. Kamala was in the passenger seat. She wants to take the driving seat now. Okay. I'm going to look at you and hope that what you're saying, like she's been talking much more recently because of this pressure about, calling for a ceasefire and stuff. I want to believe you.
Yeah.
You have to do that though. And if you don't,
you have to have some sort of hope.
well, right. It's a clean slate. Not really.
Yeah.
Somewhat of a clean slate. I'm going to look at you and I'm going to hope that what you're telling me is true. Am I stupid for believing that what you're saying is true? Yeah, kind of. I think everyone says whatever they need to say to get elected. I mean, Biden was running on, canceling student loans for the entire time of his thing. And guess what? His presidency is over and I got $50,000 in student loan debt. But you have to pressure these people. You can't sit there and put
can't just sit there and be like, you're better than Trump and I'm just going to let you get away with whatever because you're better than Trump.
The second that she's in office, that's when the work starts. That's when we call. That's when we pressure. Yeah. It really sucks. It really sucks that protesting does fucking nothing. Boycotting does a little. There are a lot of these businesses are hurting and they're changing up what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's good. The only way that you can protest in any capacity that works in this country in today's world is with your money and with your vote. And unfortunately, there are places in where they are gerrymandering and redrawing districts to make sure that you can't protest with your vote. And that really sucks. But you can still protest with your dollar.
There's a reason they're trying to ban TikTok, guys.
There's a huge... That's exactly it.
They actually came out and said it recently.
Exactly. It's exactly what Chappell Roan is saying about critically thinking about the candidates that you are casting a vote for. Spreading that kind of information. She probably learned some of that through TikTok. I feel like I have learned a lot of different perspectives because of TikTok that I wouldn't see on... Now that it's called X, I'm not even kidding. I have never in my life liked anything that would assume that I'm interested in anything conservative, in Donald Trump stuff, whatever. And X will feed me video and tweet after tweet after tweet of Donald Trump, about Elon Musk, all this stuff. I don't want this.
I used to get notifications from Fox News, from Newsmax, from Trump. I got rid of X a while back because I was just like,
dude, I have to. It is a cesspool. It's so sad because it's an app that I've had forever.
Yeah.
So it's but I know I have to get rid of it. It's really fucked up. I mean, most of these, the reason why the government's okay with Meta is because, well, they can kind of control what's being shown. But even to go so far as to say that Meta got in trouble because Meta was promoting Facebook groups that were promoting false news. They were just making crazy shit up, and that would get these older people without media knowledge riled the fuck up. My dad would sit there and call me and say, "Did you hear about this?" And I'm like, "Where the fuck did you hear about that? That's not even."
That's the whole cats and dogs.
Yeah, or rationally
the whole
true.
eating the cats and dogs thing,
dude. 1000%. It's rooted in crazy fucking racism. It's dangerous. So yeah. I'm not saying that you shouldn't endorse people. If you feel strongly enough, if you've read their policies, if you've watched their debates, if you know what's going on and you feel strongly enough to put your whatever behind this person and say, I'm voting for this person, I think that you should too. Okay, and that's fair, and we live in this country and you should be allowed to do that. If you read their policies and you watch what they do and all this stuff and you go, I'm going to vote for them, but I can't in good conscience say, I'm not in good conscience going to put them on a pedestal, then that you should be allowed to do that too.
Yeah. And the fact that people are canceling her to the point that she has had to take a mental health break, and then now people are criticizing her for taking a mental health break. And it's insane. We will jump into all of that in the morning. This has been a very different start to our podcast than usually. But it's been a different week.
Yeah.
This has been a rough week for Chappell. It's been a rough week for rough week. I say rough week. It's been a rough
month,
years.
Yeah.
It's been a rough America.
Yeah, oh my God. 1000%.
But yeah, we'll be right back. after our intro. Welcome to the Siren Songbook, a podcast where we discuss female artists, their music, their history, and the impact they've made on the music industry. Join us each month as we pick a new inspirational artist and celebrate exactly what it is that makes them so magical. All right, we are episode 9 of the Siren Songbook, and if you didn't catch on, we're talking about Chappell Roan.
Yeah.
We had actually recorded this podcast, and something happened with our audio, and then within that few weeks, everything blew up even more for her.
Yes.
So we started last time with "It's about to get gay in here." And now it's about to get gay and a little political.
Or quite a bit political. That's exactly it. Welcome, everyone. I'm sure you guys have all heard of Chappell Roan at this point. She's not just your favorite artist. She's probably your favorite artist.
Yeah.
Like I said in the last the last iteration of this episode that we recorded, she has firmly expressed her boundaries and does not want to be referred to by her birth name, so we will not be calling her that. So you don't need to know. If you really, really care, you can look it up on Wikipedia. But professionally, she is known as Chappell Roan. Born February 19th, 1998. She is a Aquarius. She's an American singer. Yeah. It's the age of Aquarius. It really is, with Chappell Roan supremacy. She's an American singer and songwriter who has worked with Dan Nigro, and a majority of her music is inspired by 1980s synth pop and early 2000s pop hits. Her aesthetic is heavily influenced by drag queens, and her music and performing style can be described as campy, which so exciting. I mean, you guys have all seen footage of her. I know at this point, like, I can't sit there and be like, how have you seen this? Because of course you have. Every time she has a live performance, people are looking at her to go, what is she going to do next? And I haven't felt that interest in another artist since, like, Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
When she first started, I was like, what's she going to do now?
It's her favorite artist thing actually comes from a drag queen, Sasha Colby. And I remember when I heard that first on my TikTok when she said that at Coachella, I was like, I saw the clips because TikTok was like, hey, you're queer, you'll like this. And I remember I was like, I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. And it's because that was what Sasha Colby said on Drag Race when she was on it. She said, I'm your favorite drag queen's favorite drag queen, because she was. And then she won because she is. And same thing, Chappell Roan was very right. She came up because she is an amazing artist. And she blew up. Yeah, that Coachella was like probably the first time she started showing up on my radar on my TikTok.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, and then I had to, like, one night I was finally like, okay, fine. They kept going, if you're queer and haven't looked up Chappell Roan yet, what are you waiting for? And I was finally like, okay, fine. And I went and stayed up way too late watching all her music videos one night. And then I was like, okay, I get it. But yeah, I came up with the rest of the late bloomers to Chappell Roan, but I know that you started early on.
Yeah, back in 2020, we all know what happened. We were all there for it, unless you were born then, which I don't think a 4-year-old would be listening to this podcast. But if you are, hell yeah, girl, slay. In 2020, I downloaded this silly little app called TikTok that I had just heard. I'd been hearing about for the first couple of months. It was something called Musical.ly before, and I was like, I don't know what that is. It's probably for the kids. And then the world shut down, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do with my day. So I downloaded TikTok and instantly was like, oh no, I love it, and would just spend hours just scrolling and laughing. And I started seeing videos by this girl with, like, really pretty curly long hair. It was brown and just, like, full of life. And she just released this song called Pink Pony Club. And I was like, what is this? And immediately was like, oh, this is a bop. I listened to it. And it was like one of the songs I listened to during the pandemic that was like, I hear that and I immediately think of that time during the pandemic. Like, it just brings me back. It's like when you think of like whipped coffee, like, you know exactly what moment of the pandemic that was. Every month felt like a year, I'll tell you that. But anyway, I started seeing a bunch of videos from her, and over the time she started releasing like more and more stuff, but she posted a lot of like silly videos and like, you know, videos about like just from like different trends where you'd like sing about a traumatic thing that happened to you and this and that. So I knew about her for quite a bit of time. And then she released her album this time last year, and immediately was listening to it. And I would like text my sister, and I'd be on my walks and I'd be like, are you listening to this? And I'd been seeing her like doing more and more performances, and I was like, wow, she's got like really good stamina and this and that. And then she opened for Olivia Rodrigo, and I was like, oh, that's big. And at the time she had like maybe like 2 million monthly listeners. Like, I knew about her, my sister knew about her. I made my boyfriend get to know a lot about her.
I feel like I vaguely remember her opening for Olivia Rodrigo, because I remember, again, TikTok going, oh, you're queer, you'll like this. And there were all these people like videotaping her and being like, oh, just, you know, TikTok going, look, gay content, here you go.
I know. I remember like the fact that I've been around long enough that I remember when her hair was brown, and then when she dyed it red, I was like, wow, you look like a mermaid. This is amazing. But then shortly after that, like she left the tour a little early to do Coachella. And when I first started listening to her, she had 2 million monthly listeners, and now she's like 50 million monthly listeners. It's insane. She just blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like when she was teasing Good Luck Babe, and I was like, what is this new song? Didn't you just release an album? But I heard it and was like, what? And then immediately learned the words the second it came out. It was like the only other song that I've done that to in the last year is Please 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 by Sabrina Carpenter. The second it came, like literally that night, I knew all the words to that song.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, dude. I just Pop is in such a good place right now. But I'm so happy for her success. But that success is not overnight like so many people think. It has been long. It has been hard. And we're going to take a look into her life leading up to this. So she was born in Willard, Missouri, the oldest of 4. She had 2 parents. There's a lot of information about what her family did. It's not important. It's really not important. But she did grow up with a conservative and Christian upbringing like the rest of us. I think, you know, especially when you live in middle America. It's just kind of normal. During her childhood, she attended church 3 times a week and spent some summers at Christian camps, which same girl.
It feels like my life.
I was at church probably more days than I wasn't. That's for sure.
I was there probably twice on Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, I think.
I would get to church with my grandma and my grandpa liked to wake up early, and they would like to go to the early morning service. So I would get up and I'd go to that service, and then I'd be there all day because my parents like to go to the late service. So I'd do all the services on Sunday. Then they'd had church like during the week, like the midweek sessions, and then Bible studies. And
yeah, because we had Sunday morning service. There was Sunday school, and then there was like the Sunday like full church service. So like everybody went to their Sunday schools, which was like divided into ages, and then you went to the full church service, and then you went to lunch and had dinner, and then you came back for Sunday evening service, and then you went home, and then Tuesdays were Bible study. Wednesdays were faith. That was the day that we went out and missioned to the people around the town.
Oh my God.
Thursdays were youth group. Fridays were any like special potlucks or anything.
And now I'm a pagan. In a 2023 Variety interview, she said that she struggled with her upbringing and snuck out often. She said, quote, "I wanted to feel like a good person, but I had this part of me that wanted to escape so bad," which also totally same girl. Roan began playing piano when she was 10 or 11 years old and began taking lessons at the age of 12. She performed publicly for the first time at the age of 13, singing the Christmas song at her school's talent show, which she won, by the way. And when she was 14 years old, she auditioned for America's Got Talent without success. At 14 or 15, around that time period, she also began uploading covers to YouTube and drawing attention from various record labels. She began songwriting as she entered her teen years and graduated a year early from her high school. And Roan described missing many childhood experiences in the, quote, messy beginning of her music career, including her prom and high school graduation, which I know as somebody who was relatively around her same age, like that could be, that could be a lot,
Yeah.
those formative years.
I feel like I hear I said this earlier. I feel like I hear the Christian influence on her early music. It's very different from the gay icon music that she makes now. It's
Yeah.
I think last time we pinpointed it as like Civil Wars. I called it emo folk.
Yeah. Oh, School Nights, the EP. Yeah.
Barlow Girl.
Oh my God.
Barlow Girl.
Oh my
Which
God.
if you weren't a Christian teenager, you might not know who Barlow Girl was. But Barlow Girl was the hip emo rock band to listen to.
So I started taking lessons when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I had my first recital when I was 8, and the song I sang was Never Alone by Barlow Girl.
Barlow Girl, Never Alone was the first song I learned to play on piano.
Nice.
Play and sing at the same time.
I probably, if someone just started playing it right now, all the words just come right out of my body.
Also, I'm very like brokenhearted because I had a VHS, like, the ones that you put in like you had the VHS and you slipped the little smaller video into it and then closed it and then put it in the VHS player. Camcorders, like you had a camcorder and it made like a small, like 4-inch tape or something. And then you would have to like put it. Oh, you might be too young for this.
I gotta be honest, I do not know what you're talking about.
So my band performed Barlow Girl. It was me, Janelle, Steven, Laura. Mm-hmm. And we toured at a few churches around here in Southern California.
Oh, wow.
And we played Barlow Girl. And it was filmed on a camcorder. Mm-hmm. And they would come out in these like little square, like almost like cassette tape looking things. And then you would have to put them into a VHS. Like they'd have a holder that you would put into a VHS and close it and then put it into a VHS player. And
so they made like special VHS tapes to. Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
in my head I was like, how do you open those?
yeah, no, they made special ones that you would put it into and put it in.
Okay.
And we had a video of it. And I found it years later when we were cleaning out my grandpa's house after he passed away. And I sent it off to a place that was supposed to digitize it and send it back to me. And I never got it back.
Shut up. Oh my God.
I'm so sad.
Are they still in business?
I've tried to look it up because it was through Amazon. And I'm still like trying to find it. Because I need that video. But we sang Never Alone by Barlow Girl.
Oh my God. I do remember like looking out in the crowd when I was singing Barlow Girl. I remember my outfit and everything too, a red turtleneck. And I'm looking at my dad. And my dad is holding a camcorder. So there might be footage somewhere, but my parents were horrific at keeping anything. So
There's also, oh my God. Janelle, my friend Jackie, and I sang a Barlow Girl song at a camp called Centrifuge that we went to. It was a Christian camp. And it was like the biggest audience I had ever played to at that point. And they had like a talent show night. And there was like,
oh my God.
Is
it up in Lake Arrowhead?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I went to that camp.
You went to that camp?
Winter camp, right? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I think it was.
Dude, yeah. I mean, that camp. Oh,
and,
shit.
And they had like a talent show. And,
Yeah, I
and
also
we
did
played
oh my
a Barlow
God.
Girl song. And it was like the biggest crowd we had ever played to.
I also played a talent show at that same camp, and we did The Only Exception from Paramore.
Oh.
In my head, I was like, well, it counts because they were very openly Christian back then. So I thought I really nailed it. I think I won, actually, if I remember
Nice.
correctly.
I don't remember if we won or not. But I remember we were very proud of ourselves. I have a picture of it. But yeah, it very much reminded me of like Barlow Girl. I called it emo folk. very different from what she is now, but also kind of reminds me of I relate to her on such a hard level.
Mm-hmm.
That journey from going from Barlow girl to gay icon.
Dude, you know what's funny is if we're talking about all this and she's like, who's Barlow girl?
Yeah, she probably has no idea who Barlow girl is.
I feel like they were more I don't know, like their popularity was really rooted in like the early 2000s. I would assume, I don't know. I feel like if
we got to do a podcast on them now.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about them way too much. I mean, if you have Air One, or if you had like a family Christian bookstore in your hometown, you've definitely heard them playing on the radio.
Yeah.
Like that, and like, what would people do if they heard that I'm a Jesus freak? Oh my God. That song makes me tense up so fucking bad. It's like, I'm shell shocked.
Trauma. Deep-rooted trauma.
Or come and go with me to my father's house.
Oh my God.
With a big, where we can play football, dude. Oh my God. All of those songs came out when my parents were still teenagers and dating, and they're still played on Air One today. It's like there have been no new music.
I haven't listened to Air One in forever.
My sister was still a Christian for up until recently, so I'd have to hear that stuff. And I'm like, oh, we're still doing this? Every once in a while I'll check in. I'll be like, how are we all doing over here? Ooh, okay. Well, great talking to you guys. Have fun. The muffins are good.
The muffins are still good. I do miss the potlucks.
Yeah. That's the only thing about church is the community. It's like there's always something to do.
That was I went to a Baptist church and we had some good potlucks.
Dude, I feel that. We could just talk about religion the rest of the time. And what was it like to grow up religious in America after 9/11? Let's talk about that.
Chappell Roan's just bringing us down these rabbit holes.
Not at all. What we're like, sorry, Chappell, if you ever hear this, which press fucking X to doubt. But to go back to her career, and not ours. In November of 2014, Roan uploaded her original song "Die Young" to YouTube under her birth name, and she wrote the song while attending summer camp at a Center for the Arts, which she said changed the trajectory of her career forever. She subsequently traveled to New York for several musical showcases, leading to her signing with music label Atlantic Records in May of 2015. In 2016, she adopted the stage name Chappell Roan in honor of her grandfather, Dennis K. Chappell, who died of brain cancer that same year. The name is a combination of her grandfather's last name and a word taken from his favorite song, The Strawberry Roan, by Curly Fletcher. And she also expressed dislike for her birth name, which is why we're not saying it. On August 3rd, 2017, Roan released her first single, Good Hurt. The song was reviewed favorably in Interview magazine, which praised her striking maturity and surprisingly deep vocals. On September 22nd, 2017, she released an EP titled School Nights, the one that we were just talking about, through Atlantic Records. And also that same year, she supported Vance Joy on his Lay It On Me tour. And then during this time, Roan lived with her parents in Springfield, Missouri, and then flying with them to Los Angeles or New York when necessary, because I believe she was still technically not like legally an adult.
Yeah.
Or she had like just became that. In 2018, Roan moved to Los Angeles, and she has since stated that this was the first time she felt able to live openly as a queer woman, as well as feeling overwhelmed with complete love and acceptance, allowing her to begin writing songs as the real her, which I can definitely say, listening to school, like, okay, so I found her at Pink Pony Club, and that's what I was listening to. I didn't even think to look at her earlier discography when I would be listening to her music. I always saw the School Nights EP, but like there was something about it because it's in black and white and all of her music is, or all of her like
newer
imagery.
Music is so bright and so.
Well, yeah, it's like I was just looking at like everything that that's associated with her project is so colorful that like I was just like, I don't know, I just like didn't click on it. And only recently did I listen to it on a drive with David. We were both like, oh, oh, that sounds there's a lot of like cursive singing in there.
Twilight-esque.
Yeah, like that. This shit would have like. This was very like Birdie, like Skinny Love cover. I like how it feels, not in a bad way. I mean,
she had. I don't have my notes anymore, but I wrote down that there were a lot of parts where she had like great control over her transitions from her head to her chest and like her range and her, which is impressive because I know that you said she didn't have any vocal training.
No, not at all.
Like at all. So the fact that she has so much control over her head and her chest and her mix right off the bat, insane. It was very beautiful, very controlled. Very that time though. Mm-hmm. It was very of that time. I am here for gay icon. Chappell Roan though.
I think because I only listened to that EP this year, I just found it very interesting. Like, obviously, if I found it when it came out, I would have been obsessed with it because that's the kind of music I was listening to a lot of.
Yeah.
So I think of the time period, I think it is a great album, and especially for somebody of that age to write something like that, I mean, is really impressive. She had a singular voice then that she just redefined and refined as she got older, which I think we all do that. Like, I've made music in my teenage years that I would never listen to. I never want to listen to it. I have music from my early 20s that I never want to listen to again. So I totally get it. I think that as I get older, my opinion on things change and my viewpoint on things change, and I'm bolder and I'm more comfortable with myself. And I, as somebody who was shedding the skin of a conservative Christian upbringing, it took a really long time for me to find who Kasey even was, because I had only known myself as, my name is Kasey Yeager. God, I have God in my heart. Mm-hmm. I'm saved, and I go to church, and I'm told that I need to spread the love of God to everyone.
Yeah.
And breaking away from that, when I realized that I was not accepted in those spaces. Like, the second that I started to have feelings for other people, specifically when I started to have feelings for other women, and those feelings weren't going to go away, and I would constantly pray to God, like, please, like, I feel like you're not truly traumatized until you're literally, like, in all sincerity, like a middle school teenager, whatever, and you're praying to God, like, please take away my feelings for women, because I don't want to, quote unquote, go to hell, because that's what I was told.
Yeah.
And like, I, in those moments, could sit there and say, like, I don't think that gay people are bad, or people that, other women that love women, like, I did not think that they were bad at all. I just felt supremely guilty, like getting baptized and being given like a cross necklace, which is like a rite of passage like in the Christian church, and
or your purity ring. Mine was a purity ring, and
I did want one for a while, and then I'm so glad I actually never got one. Gotta say,
I got one with a list of 12 rules for dating.
Oh my God.
From my youth group that hung on my wall.
I literally, like, the night that I got baptized, and I was given my necklace, and it had a little like treble clef around it, because my mom was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And my pastor prayed over my fucking necklace. And later that night, I was like dry heaving in my bathroom because I had a crush on a girl at school. Dude, it's like, if, that's, I feel like that, maybe that's why, like, I just like feel so much for Chappell Roan, because like, I don't know if she ever went through these same feelings. I don't know her.
Yeah.
So, but it's just like, it like invokes those like moments within me. Like, I remember like feeling like I didn't deserve that necklace, so I never wore it.
Well, just from what we know about her, and this, ties back into everything that we're going to get into later. But the things she does allow you to know about her, and the things she does allow you to have access to, is for very specific reasons. She lets you know that she grew up this way. She lets you know the things that she went through, because she wants people like us to have that connection and know that it's okay. Mm-hmm. Same thing. She shares the story about Pink Pony Club and why she wrote it, because she went to the Abbey and saw the go-go dancers and wanted to be like them, but doesn't have the confidence and the personality to be like them. Although I watched the video and she 100% could. She could.
She really could. She really could.
But you know, she writes this song about it. And I think that people like us can relate to that story. No matter what age. Like my process of coming out of all of it was much later than you. Mine was more in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But hers sounds like it was more like in her 18 to
I would assume it was
20s.
Probably like late teens as well. Yeah.
But, you know, like she shares that because of, as we were talking at the beginning, like she is a doer. You see by her actions. Mm-hmm. She shares these parts of herself because she cares about the community and the people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really one of the coolest things about her.
Yeah. I completely agree with that.
Pink Pony Club is a bop.
It is so good.
Although now I do exclusively hear Plankton in my head singing it.
Oh God. Ugh. I'm so sorry for you. So leading up to Pink Pony Club, Roan began working with songwriter and producer Dan Nigro in late 2018. And in April of 2020, Roan released Pink Pony Club, which is around the time that I found her on TikTok, which she's described as a hard left turn from School Nights. And yes, it is. The single was produced by Nigro, and it's the first music video, and its music video was directed by Griffin Stoddard. Roan has cited a visit to the Abbey, like... Ooh-wee. So as we said, her visit to the Abbey, which is a gay bar in West Hollywood, was the inspiration for the song. She also released 2 more singles that year, Love Me Anyway and California, in May of 2020. However, her releases were not profitable enough for Atlantic, who dropped Roan from the label in August of 2020, which is crazy. I love California. That's one of my favorite songs of hers.
California is so good. The acapella opening and the...
It's very much an homage to California Dreamin', but like the antithesis of that. You know how like everyone's dreaming of California, you know, where they are currently, like the leaves are brown and blah, 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 blah. But like she mentions that and like, I don't know, where it's like California really isn't all it's cracked up to be, and she misses her small town in Missouri. Yeah. However, let me skip that part. Her boyfriend of 4 years broke up with her the same week that she was dropped from her label, and she spent the next 2 years working as a production assistant as well as a barista and a nanny to support herself. Despite this, USA Today ranked Pink Pony Club 3rd on the list of 10 best songs of 2020. So what the hell was Atlantic smoking? I would like to know. An accompanying description characterized it as dance pop that earnestly celebrates queer culture, acceptance, and chasing your dreams. A year after its release, Vulture described Pink Pony Club as the song of summer 2021, calling it a synthy, infectious bangarang, which is a choice of words. By August of 2022, the song had been streamed more than 10 million times on Spotify. So once again, Atlantic, I'm asking, are you kicking yourselves now? I would like to know.
Probably.
100%. Dude, yes. In early 2021, the success of Olivia Rodrigo's driver's license shifted Nigro's focus from Roan as he worked on Sour with Rodrigo. Roan was unable to find a collaborator whom she liked as much. Of course, I understand. And she briefly moved back to Missouri to work on her music independently while working in a drive-thru. And I've also worked in fast food before. Oh my God. What a soul-sucking experience. But we're going to move into 2022 and 2023, which is the rise and fall of a Midwest princess era. Roan had moved back to Los Angeles in October of 2020 to continue working on her music independently while working a series of odd jobs, which we mentioned earlier, which would be a production assistant and in a donut shop. Around that time, she earned a publishing deal with Sony, and by February of 2022 was able to work with Nigro again to create and release Naked in Manhattan. The song was her first release in 2 years, her first as an independent artist, and her first to express same-gender attraction. It was described by NPR as a queer girl bop. with lyrics that are tender, nostalgic, and flirty yet uncertain. Roan also was selected as the opening act for Olivia Rodrigo to perform on Rodrigo's Sour Tour and for Fletcher on her Girl of My Dreams tour. In August of 2022, she released a third independent single, Femininomenon, and Earmilk described the song as so fun and loud, but so intricate, and noted it was different from Roan's past releases. Roan stated that the song, which was produced by Nigro, was an attempt to get away with being as ridiculous as she possibly could. And I will definitely say, I remember when she was doing the promotion for that song before it like fully came out, and somebody was like, what are we supposed to say if we can't say it? She's like, well, if you can pronounce supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, you can pronounce Femininomenon. So that's my one memory of when she was releasing that song, is always supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. An accompanying self-directed music video featuring Roan riding a dirt bike was also part of that whole era, which I think is so cool. And then she released another single, Casual, which she had begun working on with Nigro in 2020. And I totally see how like that whole era of like Pink Pony Club and like California and Casual kind of came together. There's a lot of like soft tenderness there that maybe isn't there for Naked in Manhattan or Femininomenon. I love Casual, by the way.
Casual is a great song.
So good.
I feel like that's one of the first songs, the knee deep in the passenger seat and you're eating me out. Is it Casual now?
Such a good lyric, dude.
Like, it's such a good...
my God.
And she just has a way of like just saying things, but in such a good lyrically way that like...
It's so hard to perfect the art of saying it with your full chest, but saying it poetically. Yeah. And like, I don't know. She's really perfected. I really do. I think the lyrics to that are really cool. There's a trend going on around TikTok right now where it's like a slideshow of, you know, things that you and your partner did before you became official. And a lot of it's like, oh, we weren't casual one bit. Like within weeks, we moved in with each other and stuff like that. And so it's really cool to see that this song is a way of people like celebrating love, even though the song itself isn't necessarily about that. Yeah. I've been in a lot of situationships where I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was casual. We were like I met your family and we like date. Like what is casual? I don't really even know what that means.
I've been in situations where I was in a casual situationship for 2 years that was probably not casual. And then I was in and then now I'm with Leo, and we were both like, yeah, we'll just be friends who go on dates. And then we went on a date and we were like, fuck, I like you. So, you know, that happened.
Yeah. I also don't understand casual. My partner and I started dating and I moved in within 3 months. So, which is actually, I waited. But I was also over there basically every day before I moved in. So,
well, that's... Leo and I were like, yeah, we'll just hang out. We'll go on a date. And then like, yeah, we were seeing each other all the time. And I mean, our 3-year anniversary is coming up. Like our official anniversary is in November. Mm-hmm. But like the first day we hung out was June 18th. And so like from June 18th to November 16th, we were, I don't know. We liked each other. We had said, I love you to each other. People were like, you guys are together, right? I had met his family. We were casual. We weren't putting labels on it. We were not casual.
Nothing about that is casual. I love that though. The song itself, Casual, was also produced by Nigro, criticizes a romantic partner who refuses to commit and was inspired by Roan's brief relationship during the COVID-19 pandemic that ended with her partner saying that they had met someone else, which, oh my God, I would light that bitch on fire. I know what that's like. In February of 2023, Roan embarked on the Naked in North America tour, her debut headlining tour. Each stop on the tour had a theme, with Roan suggesting outfits for fans while making her own camp costumes herself. Inspired by Orville Peck, Roan chose to book drag queens as openers for the tour. The concerts from the tour received positive reviews from the Harvard Crimson and Variety, with Jem Aswan describing it as a concert where you, quote, recognize when a newish artist's career is about to blast off, which it did. Similar to Lorde in 2013 and Billie Eilish in 2019. In March of 2023, Roan released Casual, following later that year by the release of subsequent singles Kaleidoscope, Red Wine Supernova, and Hot to Go. On September 22nd of that same year, Roan released her debut full-length album, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess, and began her second headlining tour, which was the Midwest Princess Tour. The tour, ending in the spring of 2024, traveled across North America and had shows in London, Paris, Berlin, Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, and Amsterdam, and Roan donated $1 per ticket sold to the nonprofit For the Girls and opened each show with drag performers. The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess was included in several best of albums lists for 2023, ranking notably in those by the AV Club, Time, Nylon, Dork, Rolling Stone, Billboard, and Vogue, and was also listed as one of Pitchfork's 22 best pop albums of 2023, and was named Pop Buzz's #1 album of 2023. So that was quite a big year for her. And by that point, she still only had like 2 or 3 million monthly listeners.
Yeah.
Put that all into perspective. So 2024, the year that we are currently in, is the big boom, is the start. So we've had already 10 years documented of hard work. This overnight success took 10 years. Roan opened for Olivia Rodrigo's Guts World Tour in the United States and Canada from February to April. And in Roan's first week of the tour, her streams rose by 32%. Also in February, Roan was a musical guest on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which I think was her first late night performance. And in March, NPR Music released Roan's Tiny Desk concert, which also blew up.
I love that Tiny Desk concert. She's just
so
having so much fun. Mm-hmm. Like that's the thing with that Tiny Desk concert is she's just enjoying herself. Also, I love the wig with like the cigarettes sticking out. Mm-hmm. You had mentioned that like she takes inspiration from drag queens, and we've talked a few times, and we'll probably talk more about how she is a woman of action, and you know that she's a woman of action, and she takes inspiration properly from drag queens, and it's that she's not appropriating, she's taking inspiration, and you know that because drag queens have deemed her an actual drag queen.
Yeah.
And so like her wigs and everything like come from drag queens, are inspired by drag queens open up for her, drag queens love her, and so like this performance she was full-blown drag queen at it, and it was amazing.
In April of this year, Roan released the single Good Luck Babe, describing it as the first song of the next chapter. The song speaks about compulsory heterosexuality, describing a woman trying to deny her romantic feelings for Roan and and women in general. So, praised by Billboard as a, quote, well-deserved breakthrough, the song received 7 million streams in its first week and was listed in the Spotify Top 10 and debuted at number 77 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song was Roan's fastest to hit 100 million streams on the platform, and by June, the song became her first top 20 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. And by August, it reached a peak of number 6, becoming her first top 10 song on the chart. Although not included on her debut album, the single's success was a catalyst for propelling it to the worldwide recognition. And in June of 2024, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess entered the top 10 on the Billboard 200 for the first time, with over 40,000 equivalent albums units sold, and by August the album had reached number 2. In same thing in April. This is all happening in the last 6 months, by the way, people. Roan performed at Coachella, which we talked about a little bit ago. At this time, Roan saw growing success on Spotify, with her monthly listeners increasing more than 500% from February to April. As reported by Billboard, by June of 2024, Roan's weekly streams had grown by more than 20-fold from the start of the year. The same month, Roan revealed she had declined an invitation from the White House to perform for that year's Pride celebration, and during the Governor's Ball Music Festival, Roan stated, "We want liberty, justice, justice and freedom for all. When you do that, that's when I'll come. Citing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and transgender rights. That same month, Roan debuted an unreleased song called Subway as part of her performance at the Governor's Ball, continuing the work towards a new album. After drawing a crowd of more than 40,000 at the Boston Calling Music Festival and one of the biggest crowds at the Governor's Ball, the Bonnaroo Music Festival announced they were moving Roan's set from the small tent to a larger stage to cope with the demand. At another concert that month, Roan spoke to the crowd about dealing with her rapid increase in popularity, stating, "I think my career is just kind of going really fast, and it's really hard to keep up if I'm being honest. I'm having a hard time today. This is all I ever wanted. It's just heavy sometimes." Understandably. And then following her performance at Lollapalooza in August, she drew the biggest daytime set and largest crowds ever seen at the festival. In September, so we're still in September, by the way,
Yeah.
Roan performed at the 2024 Music Video Awards and won Best New Artist, and she dedicated the trophy to the queer community. This weekend, however, there is a festival currently happening, which she was supposed to be a part of and ended up having to drop out for her mental health. Totally understandable. I forgot the name of the festival off the top of my head. But
Really quick.
just in the last couple of months, she's been seeing so much flack from people because of the rise or the swift succession of her career is probably something we haven't seen in quite a bit of time. And to go from
All Things Go.
Yes. Okay. So she was supposed to perform in New York and DC for the All Things Go festival this weekend, having to drop out for mental health reasons. She has stated before that she struggles with bipolar disorder and depression, and the insane picking apart that she's been receiving by fans has been absolutely ridiculous.
And this started, so I think it was just a month ago. I mean, this has all been very fast. As you heard as we were going through the timeline, like this started April, we're in September. It's been a large increase in just a few months. Anybody trying to wrap their brain around that, it's a lot to take in. And then she came out saying, like, you know, just because you like my music doesn't mean you have a right to my body. You don't have a right to assault me. You don't have a right to come up to me at all times and just do whatever you want. She was being sexually assaulted. She had people stalking her family, stalking. And this girl, I respect her so much. She had the balls to come out and just be like, you can't do this to me, which so many celebrities have not been able to say. And she's just been thrown into this scene. And the fact that she has the courage to do that is so incredible to me. And people are just like tearing her apart for it. And I don't understand why. Like, consider yourself being thrown into this and how you would feel. And so it's insane to me that people are like tearing her apart for this in the first place. Like, no, you don't have a right to her body and to her life and to everything because you enjoy her music. Like, and the fact that people think that they do is crazy.
Yeah.
Then she came out, and we were talking about it at the beginning of this podcast and went down a rabbit hole. But she came out and all she said was use your critical thinking. She didn't say who she was voting for. She just said she's not going to endorse a candidate. And you heard us talking about she lives it. She acts it. You clearly know that she's not voting for Trump.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And people were just like, she's canceled.
The thing is that society is sick. Full stop.
Yeah.
It just is. But society is sick specifically because every time there is a woman that rises to an astronomical amount of success, people immediately try to find reasons to hate them. And it's so much so that there's a pattern. And people go, I can't wait for you guys to hate this person next. It just happens that way. It's like 2023 was the year of Taylor Swift. And this year, everyone's like, fuck Taylor Swift. Like, you know, there was a long time where Jennifer Lawrence and Anne Hathaway weren't in movies anymore. And it was like everyone really loved them, especially Jennifer Lawrence. Everyone was like, she's so funny. She likes pizza and beer and likes to burp. And then immediately everyone was like, actually, fuck her. Yeah. And if you ever ask anybody, why did you hate Jennifer Lawrence? They don't have a reason. It's like men are allowed to be successful, full stop. That's just it. And women, it's like we have to find a reason to tear them down. We have to look through and try to find old tweets as gotchas, or we're combing through everything they've ever done. And like, where is this same pressure like towards any famous man? You know, where is that? That's not here. And
she's been very vocal and open about her mental health, about taking care of herself, and I think that more celebrities should be this way.
I completely agree. The amount of people I'm seeing online that are like, oh my God, she's such a little baby and she really can't handle this, blah, blah, blah. And first of all, imagine being in her position. Imagine actually needing to be on all the fucking time. And they'll compare her to other women too. That's the other thing that happens. Society is always comparing women to each other.
Yeah.
But the way that she announced that she's dropping out of these festivals to take mental health care because of all of the backlash she's been receiving, because apparently she can't say the fucking right thing. Yeah. Even though it's all stuff that we've been saying for over a year.
Yeah.
That we can't in good conscience, the Democrats are just as evil. Sorry. They just are. Full stop. They just are. They are all sides are actively agreeing to send aid and ammunition to Israel to fucking ethnically cleanse and commit a full-on genocide against a group of people that they moved into their land and said, we're going to stay here now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What the fuck? Ugh. Anyway. She gets all this pushback for just saying something that people have been saying for a long time. And just, again, like you said, asking people to just think critically. I'm not saying I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. I'm just saying it's weird to put her on a pedestal. And people are like, oh, well, Taylor Swift could do this and Taylor Swift. But by the way, Taylor Swift has not given you access to her life in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
You do not hear from her. She does not actively talk with her fans and engage with her fans anymore because you guys are fucking freaks. Sorry. If you are offended by the way that Chappell Roan's taking care of herself, you are part of the problem. And you all are also actively showing your friends in real life that you don't give a fuck about their mental health and about their opinions.
And this is shortly after she just dealt with, we talked about, she did the VMAs, which, by the way, I'm slightly going off trail. Her VMA performance was everything.
We talked more about that in the first recording that we did of this episode. We were just, oh my God. Yeah.
I have watched it a million times over. That performance was for the girls. And if you are a man who's like, why was she dressed that way? It was not for you. So,
dude, lady nights. Oh my God.
She was the knight in shining armor for us ladies. And that's what it was. Also, that is my next D&D character.
Hell yeah. I just, once again, we're back in the fucking building. I am now playing Baldur's Gate 3 again for the 5th time. And my character's hair and everything, I downloaded a mod that makes it kind of look like the hair that she had in that performance.
I 100%, can we stream a version of Baldur's Gate where we just play Chappell Roan?
Just different versions of Chappell Roan. Oh my God. Yes, please.
Okay. That is what a bard should be all day, every day. But so at the VMAs, though, she also had a moment where she told a photographer to basically fuck off.
Yeah, he was yelling, shut the fuck up, and she turned around and said, no, you shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, girl.
And people were like, how dare she, blah, blah, blah. No, how dare he? And you know what? I go girl. You go girl. I love her for all of it.
For setting boundaries.
Yeah. She is coming out. She has been raised to fame so quickly. And she is using that platform to show the world, you don't have to bow down to what society thinks you need to do to be famous.
That's the thing. It's by the way, people listening to this, famous people don't owe you fucking shit. Sorry, they don't. And the fact that you assume that they do is weird as hell. And I know for It's just been this way forever. Somebody decided that if you are famous, you have to just let people assault you. You have to just let people interrupt your dinner. You just have to let people stalk you, let people find your fucking phone numbers, stalk your family members, whatever. It's like, whatever. I'll just, private all my stuff. No, you don't have to accept that. And we talk about, like, people have been really into therapy over the last couple of years, which I think is great. But you see all these videos on TikTok now all the time, which is like, no, you don't need to accept this kind of love. You don't need to accept this kind of friendship. You don't need to accept this kind of whatever. So why can't people in that job do the same thing? I do not understand this concept that a lot of people in society have and they have it towards not just famous people. It's like the person that works at Starbucks. They're like,
I was gonna say it's trickled down to all of society. It's like we have to just let people have access to us at all times.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, so I worked at Starbucks for 5 years leading up to the pandemic, and I quit during that time, and I haven't worked there since, thank God. But the way that people, and even I worked at Disneyland prior to that, and the way that people would come up to me, actually tell me, oh, well, my ticket paid your salary, so you have to do something for me. First of all, no, it didn't. I would have gotten paid whether or not you showed up, Betty. Thank you. But like the way that they feel this, I'm allowed to touch you. I'm allowed to take this from you. I was like working at Disneyland. I was assaulted by a man at my job, and my job said, well, we're supposed to make the customer happy. We're supposed to, make the, everything's supposed to be good on stage for the guest. Dude, what the fuck? I left that job because of that. Because I came home from work that day and I had a bruise on my fucking arm from when he assaulted me. And that wasn't even the first person that did that. There was another guest who slapped an older cast member everyone really loved. And then that person was walked to the next thing they wanted to do, given special treatment. I hate that. We need to stop doing that for people. And this is just at a base level. This isn't even just famous people. What I completely agree with what she's saying is, what makes you think that you see a woman out and about doing something and then you're just, I'm going to go ask them for a picture or approach them? Leave them the fuck alone. Okay? The thing is, what's so crazy is you would not like that. If that really was your life, you wouldn't give a fuck. I mean, you would give a fuck.
It's like occasionally, like, okay, like, yeah, you're at Comic-Con, somebody's dressed up special. You're like, oh, hey, can I get a picture with you? If you're kind, but you're not entitled to that picture.
Right.
And if it looks like they're having a personal moment or something, no.
People will actively grab you. Like, that's the thing. It's like,
she said that she was at a birthday party with her friend at a club, and somebody walked up and just turned her around and kissed her on the mouth.
That's assault.
Yeah.
That's like, what's so crazy is like, why would she even need to give like valid, like, hey, these things happen, and then people go, oh yeah, that makes sense. I guess that's kind of crossing a line. No, the fact that there was somebody that she was in Seattle and somebody was waiting for her to sign pictures at the terminal, or I think at her gate actually for her plane. By the time she landed, they were at her gate for the plane that she got off of, dude. Like, that's crazy. You wouldn't like it. That's the thing. It's like when I feel tense when a random person comes up to talk to me at Target. Yeah. Like, and I'm the type of person that lately, I don't know what it is, but I've turned 28 this year, and now everybody feels like they need to talk to me about everything. Like, I get random people come up to me all the time. They're like, let me tell you my life story. And the whole time I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. What made you think that I wanted to have a conversation? And then, unfortunately, I am also polite. And and instead of saying, hey, actually, what? No, I'm good. I don't do that.
And I let them talk to me.
And I let them talk to me for an hour and a half. Holy fuck. This lady came up to me on Tuesday and just started talking to me while I was having lunch with my friend, and then sat at my table and took over our entire conversation, telling me her entire life story. And then when she finally left, my friend and I didn't even talk. And we were like, I'm actually so wiped from just hearing her talk at us for an hour. We left. That was my fucking lunch with my friend. Like, yeah. And just imagine that on a scale so much bigger, where like that happens to me every once in a while. This happens to her every time she leaves her house. Yeah. Like, that's not okay. No. And having to come up with like ways to disguise yourself, or just never leaving, or talking about how she misses going thrifting, but if she went thrifting, she'd have to book security to go with her. Like, That's not fucking fair. What the hell?
Yeah.
She's not a zoo animal. That's the thing. And it's like, speaking of fucking zoo animals, SNL, I'm coming for you, you fucking bitch. First of all, you haven't been funny probably ever, but definitely in the last 15 years. Second of all, Bowen Yang dressing up as Mudang, which, wow, that is so internet. I said this a little earlier. Mudang is a pygmy hippo at the zoo in Thailand, I think, is where she is right now. And he dressed up as her and basically like parodied everything Chappell Roan's been saying, and they even mentioned Chappell Roan being like, "Oh wow, like I'm your favorite hippo's favorite hippo" or something like that. I don't know.
And
what
like, do you know Chappell Roan? And I'm 10 months old. Of course, I know Chappell Roan. And like,
yeah, and essentially like comparing the two. I think that first of all, heinous. Second of all, the fact that Chappell Roan graced your podcast, Bowen Yang, went on it, had an interview with you when she doesn't like to do that with a lot of people, and then at the interview thanked you for feeling seen, and then you go ahead and mock her. That's crazy work, bitch.
yeah,
That's fucking crazy work, motherfucker.
and making fun of the fact that after she canceled these shows because she's having issues with her mental health, and you choose on a weekend that she's already expressed that she's having issues with her mental health to make fun of her about taking time for her mental health and setting boundaries. I get it. We discussed, like, yes, SNL makes fun of people. They make fun, quote, they make fun of all sides. It was yeah. It wasn't great. And I'm sorry, but it wasn't a good look.
No.
It wasn't a good look. And it wasn't funny because she's setting boundaries, and it's a good thing that she's setting boundaries. And you're just furthering the narrative that all these, I'm sorry, mostly men are saying like, oh, she can't handle this, are making jokes about, by making jokes about it on a national big platform called SNL that all these people are watching.
I mean, that clip has been circulating all over my Twitter feed for the last day. I mean, since I've been up this morning on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's been passed around a bunch, and there's been a lot of commentary on it. And I think that, like, this just goes to show, like, I don't know what it is about this society and feeling like they are owed something by the women around them. Women, again, like she said, don't owe you shit. And I know that was one of the things that Bowen said as like a parody, but women do not owe you shit. Stop. Fucking stop.
He said it as a joke, but it's not a joke.
It's not a joke. Living in this society where men take and take and take and take. And I know almost every woman I know has had a story of assault or worse. And who's doing it? It's not one man doing it to everybody. You know, it's like, I don't know. That shit is just, that's its own whole podcast I could go into.
Yeah. You said it as a joke, and it's not a joke to so many women out there. And it's definitely not a joke to Chappell Roan right now, who had to cancel her shows. But leaving on a positive note, I don't know if you saw what they did in place. So the festival came out, and they were like, we respect her choice, and mental health is very important. They put out an announcement, and I really respected that. And instead, they played her music, and drag queens performed to it.
That's so sweet.
And the stadium was still full of people dancing to her music, watching drag queens perform.
That's the whole thing. It's like all of this negativity that's been surrounding her career the last like 2 or 3 months because people don't want to see someone do so well. It's taken away from what this is really about, her music and the joy her music brings to people. And it's still bringing that joy, that queer joy, which is really important. These spaces that she's helped create where people can feel like they can dress up and be themselves. So fuck the noise. Fuck all that bullshit. It's so great that there are people that do respect her boundaries and still are celebrating her music, because her music makes people feel things and makes people feel seen in a way that we haven't felt in probably ever.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to take a real quick break, hear from our fellow podcasts, and then we will come back with our closing thoughts on our favorite songs and favorite albums and wrap it on up.
Welcome to Know Your Rights, a music podcast from two guys who know just enough about songwriting to start a podcast about.
Follow Rob
And Colton.
as each week we dive into a different band or songwriter and discuss what makes them great, okay,
Or otherwise.
music is law.
And we know our rights.
Streaming bi-monthly wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Know Your Rights, a Basebone Entertainment podcast. When it comes to making the goings-on of the world entertaining, we got you covered. The Chit Show is a news, pop culture, geek culture, and music podcast hosted by none other than Danny, a.k.a. Danko, and me, Leo, a.k.a. DJ Brute. Tune in as we cover all sorts of topics with a very opinionated and wild twist. The Chit Show Podcast, where chit-chat and shit shows come together for your entertainment. Tune in on your favorite streaming platforms with new episodes dropping every other Monday. Again, that's The Chit Show, a Basebone Entertainment podcast.
This podcast ended up being a lot heavier than the first recording.
Her life has taken an interesting turn in the last couple of weeks. Well, I hope people like it.
I think it's good. I'm excited that we get to talk about this stuff, even though it's a very different podcast from what we normally do.
It's important.
I think it's important, and especially with everything going on right now.
Yeah.
Which leads me into, well, we'll start. Okay, we're gonna start with the albums. Well, she only has. I mean, she has her EP, and then she has her album. So like, but what is your favorite song of hers?
Ooh, like I think I said this when we recorded this the first time, that it changes a lot. For a while, I really loved Red Wine Supernova, because I just remember
Such a great song.
what the part of the song that she was promoting on TikTok was the bridge where I heard you like magic, I got a wand and a rabbit, and I was like, dude, that's the hardest line anyone's ever dropped.
Bars.
Ever. Holy fuck, that's so good.
And the music video with it is just so fucking good.
It is so good. So for a long time, I really loved Red Wine Supernova. I think California is probably one of my favorites now.
That
And then of course I love Good Luck Babe. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think California is one that I listen to a lot. Even
Yeah.
though I'm born and raised in California, I'm not going to a town in the Midwest. There's like a part of me that feels like sometimes I just feel nostalgic for something that I don't think I've ever felt, like I've ever experienced. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you like romanticize things that maybe were really fucked up in the immediate. And when you're in a different situation, you're kind of like, oh, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. I feel like so I really do like that song too.
I think, God, I love Casual.
Mm-hmm.
I love Hot to Go just because I feel like that's like I laugh because there's like so many like different videos around TikTok where people are like, oh, I hope they play Hot to Go, and they're like, we're at like Labyrinth Ren Fair, like they're not, and then like a few minutes later they're playing Hot to Go, and they're like but I think my favorite is Good Luck Babe, and it's only because, well, first of all, it's fantastic.
I think it really expresses like like I will say, I feel like, and this is such a compliment, because two of my favorite actually one of my other favorite songwriters, and I'll fucking say it, is Taylor Swift. I don't fucking say it. Of course I'm going to say it. I think Taylor Swift's a fucking unbelievable songwriter. She has perfected the bridge. And like those are the parts of the song that like everyone is always like, oh, I can't fucking wait for the bridge of this song, because she's historically been really good at bridges. I think it's extreme talent to be able to write a good bridge. I think Chappell Roan also has that talent.
The bridge in
Yes.
Good Luck Babe is amazing, and that's the TikToks of all the women who are in male-female relationships but are bi or pan, and and they're like standing there singing at the top of their lungs this bridge, and their like male counterpart is standing there like
I think that's definitely that. I mean, especially, you know, with women dealing with like compet or other things like that. I mean, it's really, really hard. Like I think the worry is like in 20 years you kind of wake up and you're like, I've never even fucking loved this person, but I was so afraid to love who I really did love. You know, you don't want to waste your life, and like I think that's such a huge nightmare, and so many people can relate to that, and it's just so punchy. With your head in your hands, you're nothing more than his wife.
That line. It's that line. And it's so funny because it's like people will put like me and my very happy relationship singing this at the top of my lungs.
Dude.
And like the husband or the boyfriend or partner, whatever they are, just standing there like, okay. And she's standing there singing it at the top of her lungs.
Dude, when this song came out, I went to IKEA, which the IKEA in Burbank is, I think, the biggest IKEA in the U.S., if I remember correctly. And we literally hopped in the car. It was me, my sister, David, and Jesse, the four of us, because he was, I think it was like their combined birthdays. And we were like, fuck, I want to go to IKEA. I want to eat the food at IKEA so bad.
To IKEA. I've never been to an IKEA.
Oh my God. Well, the IKEA in Burbank is everlasting. It just keeps going and going and going. But you can just go get the food and then, you know, what? Anyway, the whole way there and back, what did we listen to? Good Luck, Babe. And Kyler and I were screaming it at the top of our lungs in the back of the car. I just like, so like for me, I just have that memory that I get to hold on to for like forever. Like that's what I associate that song with, is like having fun with my friends at IKEA eating Swedish meatballs. So that's what that song makes me think of now.
I also just really want to, I think last episode I was like, I really want to go back to, she makes me want to go back to Hamburger Mary's and go watch some drag queens. Yeah. We need to go. I know Leo really wants to go to drag bingo, so.
I haven't done drag bingo before. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Bingo is fucking great.
I haven't done bingo in so long. We should do drag bingo. We got to set that up.
I'm down.
But yeah, I would say Good Luck, Babe is my favorite, and it's that bridge. It's that bridge. I mean, the whole song's great, but it's that bridge. It's that bridge.
Dude. Her melody choices also, by the way, and all of her songs, I'm always like, fuck, why didn't I think of that? That's so good. Like, there are a lot of artists that I listen to and like, oh, this is so annoying of me. But I'll listen to it. I'm like, well, what if they made this choice, it would have been better. Like, or if they said this line a little bit differently. And David will be like, holy fuck. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like, maybe I'm not the best at writing my own songs, but I know how to fix other people's. Her music, oh my God. No fucking notes.
No notes.
Every melodic choice is deliberate. Every word is deliberate. I love songwriting like that. It makes me just it's like that's why I love Kasey Musgrave so much. Is like every single word is purposeful. Songwriting like that makes me get all warm and fuzzy on the inside.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about this throughout the podcast, but what is like one thing you take away from Chappell Roan?
Do not let anybody make you feel bad for setting boundaries, because you deserve to set boundaries.
Yeah. I feel like that's mine too. And like along with that, like don't give a fuck what other people think.
Yeah. There was a TikTok that I saw recently that somebody said, being overly nice to someone or like allowing someone to do something to you is not a measure of how nice you are. It's a measure of how weak your boundaries are. And so I think about that a lot. And I think that I associate that with Chappell Roan.
I go back to, there's this one TikTok I saw of her one time where somebody reported one of her lives or something. For me, and then she put up a video the next day where she was just like, who did it? I'm not going to do anything. I just want to know who did it. And I just felt like I related to that on such a smaller level because like we've dealt with on our own social media pages of people who again just don't want to see, whether it's because we're women, whether it's just people who don't like us personally. I don't know. But people being mean on the internet. I don't know. But like reporting stuff for no reason just because they can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating. It is frustrating as all get out.
Mm-hmm.
And watching her handle it and set boundaries and call it out has given me some comfort, but also watching her just continue to go and not give a fuck has also given me some comfort. Like, yeah, she's taking time for her mental health this weekend. I don't know what she's going to do next, and whatever she does do next, I'm still going to support her and her music.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope she doesn't quit, because I want to see her keep going. I don't want to let the trolls win.
Mm-hmm.
Because and not that I'm putting this pressure on her, but because on a much smaller level, I know that there's days that I want to quit because the trolls get to me on a much, much smaller level.
Oh my God, dude. Even on Twitch, like the amount of people that just like come in and try and ruin my day. Just random strangers that are like, I'm going to click on this girl's live stream and I'm just going to call her fat or something. Like,
yeah,
dude. Or I'm going to say something really racist, or I'm going to say whatever. Like, yeah. And that's just micro level shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, imagine just opening up your DMs on Instagram and they're full of hate.
Yeah.
Every single message. Oh my God. You know?
So I hope that she can find a way to overcome it, but just what she's done so far of setting boundaries and continuing to keep going and continuing to be like, no, I'm not going to let you do this to me, has been very inspiring to me.
I agree.
So, yeah, this re-recording has been very different from our first podcast.
Oh, yeah. The first one was way more positive.
But you know what? She had a lot happen over the last few weeks, and it was very important to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So, our next artist I get to pick, and we are going to be doing Janis Joplin.
Ayo.
And that is going to be our last episode of this season.
Ayo.
And then we're going to take off for the holidays, and then we are going to come back in January. So, yeah, tune in for our last episode of this first season of the Siren Songbook.
Yay.
And we'll see you guys next month. Bye.
Bye.
If you're looking for fun events, awesome music, and enjoyable podcasts, then look no further. The Basebone Entertainment family has you covered. With so many talented people in our community, it was only right that we not only bring you events, but all sorts of awesome entertainment. Follow Basebone on social media or join our Discord community to stay updated and engaged in everything. That is at Baseblown on social media and discord.gg/Baseblown for our Discord. Basebone Entertainment, bringing you more than just bass in your face.